death. The Great Unknown. The end that terrifies and fascinates. But for as long as humans have walked the earth, we've refused to let the dead simply disappear. We bury them, burn them, honor them, and sometimes fear them. This is Cults of the Dead, Part 1, Origins and Ancient Practices. In 1939, a human skull was found in the Guattari cave on Italy's Monte Circio. It sat alone, ringed by stones, surrounded by animal bones, and a human jaw. The man was killed by a blow to the head. His brain had been removed, perhaps eaten. Was it a meal? A ritual? Or worship? We may never know. But it tells us this: long before written history, humans had begun treating the dead with awe. And possibly with appetite. Sets us apart from other animals is not just how we live, but how we die. Or rather, how we remember the dead. Some of our earliest ancestors may have been cannibals, not out of hunger, but to absorb the strength of the deceased. In Papua New Guinea, the Osmot people once kept the skulls of their enemies and sometimes even of relatives. These skulls were polished, decorated, and placed in shrines, or used as pillows to absorb their power through sleep. In the Chiktash cave of Uzbekistan, a child was buried in a circle of ibex skulls. At Mount Carmel, bodies were trussed like fetuses. Was this fear? Respect? A magical attempt at rebirth? Or simply practical? Even then, the lines between the sacred and the sensible were blurred. The Neanderthals buried their dead under their homes, facing the setting sun. They left tools and meat for the journey beyond. It was not just mourning, it was preparation. The dead were not gone. They were simply elsewhere. At Jericho, some 8,000 years ago, the dead returned, literally. Skulls were covered in plaster, shaped into faces, and given eyes made of shells. These were no trophies. These were ancestors, kept near and watched over. Death became domestic. skull veneration didn't stop at burial. In Tibet, skulls were hollowed into kapalas, ritual cups used by Buddhist monks in offerings to fierce deities. These offerings might include wine, rice, or blood, symbolizing transformation through death. In the Great Ofnid Cave of Germany, 33 human skulls, many cracked open by hatchets, were buried in rows, dyed in blood-colored ochre. Was this vengeance? Veneration. A cult of skulls or a mass execution masked in ritual. In Çatalhöyük, ancient Turkey, skulls were often buried beneath homes or placed on altars. When archaeologists uncovered one such shrine, they found a skull positioned beneath a female figurine, perhaps the great goddess, suggesting a sacred link between the ancestor and fertility. Societies evolved, so did their cults of the dead. From underground caves to towering megalithic tombs, the dead were now encased in stone and earth. Their monuments outlived their homes. In Ireland's Newgrange, a 5,000-year-old tomb aligns with the winter solstice sunrise, letting light pierce the darkness of death. In Madagascar, families still practice famidihana, the turning of the bones. Every few years, they exhume their dead, rewrap them in fresh cloth, and dance with the corpses to live music. For the Malagasy, death is a process, not a moment. The dead are invited to celebrate, to laugh, to feel the love of the living once more. Burial mounds became wombs of the earth goddess. To return to the soil was to return to the mother. Death was no longer just an ending, it was a rebirth. In prehistoric Europe, female figurines with exaggerated hips and breasts were placed in tombs. These were not simply fertility icons. They were guardians of the womb of the earth, reminding the living that death, too, was a return to the mother. From skulls on altars to tombs touching the sky, humans have always known. The dead do not vanish. They linger, in memory, in ritual, in fear. And in part 2, we'll see what happens when the dead demand more than remembrance. When the dead want offerings, power, blood. See you in part 2. Please don't forget to subscribe and like.